Welcome back, everybody. I'm Inside Elections. That is Thursday, November 20th, 2025, and today we'll be taking a look at these polls, these shock polls in the favor of the Democrats, and exactly what they mean. You can see here, this poll came out yesterday evening by Marius College. Democrats up 14 points in the generic ballot, 14 points, and it's not just this one poll. It's also this poll that came out the other day with Donald Trump's approval by Ipsos. Whoops. Donald Trump's approval is negative 22 points. 22. And also, it's not this. I want to talk about this other poll. This Fox News poll. Fox News. It's not a left-wing pollster, Democrat-funded. No, this is Fox News. Voters say White House is doing more harm than good on the economy. Look. In the views of the economy by their sample, only 25% of voters said, of registered voters, only 25% said that the economy is doing good. 25%. 76% say that's not doing good or that's doing poor. That's a 51-point delta. A 51-point delta. That's worse than Biden's 2024 numbers. And this was the election. The economy was the issue that got Donald Trump and Republicans elected in 2024. The economy. Because they thought that they would do good in the economy. They thought that they would do better. But they're not. In fact, they're negative 51 points in this. And it's showing in these other polls, like on the generic ballot, Democrats plus 14 points. Approval. Donald Trump's approval, negative 22. And we can look at more of this data, because it was not just one off. We scroll down. Overall. Donald Trump's overall job performance. His overall performance, his approval rating, negative 17. By Fox News. Once again, not a left-wing pollster, not Democratic funded. The complete opposite. Fox News, he's negative 17 points in overall job performance. In fact, the only issue that he's above water in is border security. The only issue. Immigration, negative. Foreign policy, way negative. The economy, way negative. Tariffs, way negative. Healthcare, way even more negative. And we can look overall. His overall approval rating is negative 17 right now. The aggregate, the average, negative 17. In so many polls, these polls, YouGov, negative 13, Fox, negative 23, Ipsos, negative 24, Morning Consult, negative 7. When an approval rating of negative 7 is the biggest outlier that there is, it's not a great sign for the person being polled. Qantas, negative 16. Marquette, negative 28. These are numbers. These are huge numbers. Double-digit numbers of Donald Trump and the Republican Party being viewed negatively. Just about a year after the election, where he won in arguably a landslide. Look at the economy. For a look, negative 17. Foreign policy, negative 10. Immigration, once again, pretty much his best issue, the issue that he's somewhat ahead of in polls. Still negative. Inflation, way negative, negative 25. The point is, he's so underwater. Donald Trump, Republicans are so underwater, and Democrats are still above water in these polls. And they're not just polls. We see in special elections, Democrats are constantly outperforming by 10, 15, 20 points. And it's showing in these polls, Democrats at plus 14. We can look here. If Democrats actually won the popular vote by 14 points in 2026, Democrats lost it by 2.6 in 2024, we would have to shift it to the Democrats by 16.6. 14 plus 2.6, 16.6. Look what would happen. Democrats are at 215 right now. This is what they got in 2024. Republicans are at 220. Look what would happen if we shifted it 16.6 points to the left. Once again, this is probably not going to happen, but this is what the polls are saying. Democrats at 261 congressional seats. 261. The Republicans 174. That is the largest margin that's the largest House margin for Democrats in decades. 2022, 213. 2020, 220. 2016, 194. 188. 201. 193. 257, 233, 203, 206, 213, 212, 208. We just keep going back all the way to, I believe it was, 1990. This is the last time Democrats had this big of an advantage in the House of Representatives in 1990, over 3 decades ago. If Democrats actually won the generic ballot vote by 14 points in 2026, it would be monumental. We would have a map that looks like this. In this day and age, of a 90 seat delta is absolutely absurd. And look, we can look at what happened around this election. This is 1990. We can go back to the 1988 election. This was the election before the midterms of the 1988 election, where Democrats outstandingly outperformed. George H.W. Bush won in a landslide. Republicans won by a large margin. Just like in 2024, Republicans won by a significantly large margin. It was the worst performance for a Democratic candidate since this election, since 1998. I mean, look, 370, 380, 270, 250, 365, 333, 233, etc. You see, this was the worst election for Democrats since 1998 elections, and after the 1988 election became the 1990 midterms, where Democrats outstandingly outperformed, which is what the polls are saying is going to happen. Which, personally, it's not going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think anybody realistically thinks it's going to happen this day and age. But it's what the polls are saying. And look what happened. After these midterms, let's go back. After the Republican won by a large margin, like in 2024, came the 1990 midterms, where Democrats won by a large margin, which is what polls are saying is going to happen next year. The next presidential election, Democrats won 370 electoral votes. 370 electoral votes. No, I'm not saying that it's going to happen, because I don't think it's going to happen, but there are so many parallels. We're seeing all these special elections, Democrats are outperforming by these 10, 15, 20, 25 point margins. So it's not out of the realm of possibility to think that Democrats have a small chance to win the generic ballot by 14 points. And that would mean an absolutely monumental win in 2026, which we just don't see that this day and age anymore. But it might happen. Okay, I'm talking in circles now. What I'm trying to say is that Democrats are outperforming, and it is showing in poll after poll, in election after election. And it's not out of their own possibility for it to happen in 2026 and for Democrats to win in an absolute tsunami landslide. Okay, that's my analysis. I hope you enjoyed this video. I encourage you to like, subscribe, comment, thoughts, suggestions, video ideas. I will make a video if you comment what I should make one about. And yeah, I hope you have a great day.